All right, hey there, Buckaroos. Today, I'm going to take a little bit of a risk and share a tutorial, my very first tutorial for a magic trick for you on the YouTube. Now, you see, when you have a hobby, everyone likes to share their hobby and bring more people into the fold. I'm not saying that you have to be one of us, and start walking around with a deck of cards everywhere. But I think it might be interesting for you to see some of the thought process and some of the construction behind the effect that I'm going to talk about today. This is not anything that's really so crazy it's going to boggle the mind, but I put my own little twister into the effect, my own little spin on it, which I think will make it maybe a little bit more interesting. However, before I start, I have to say sorry and admit I've never actually performed this before. And the reason for that is it's not an effect that I actually like in its classic form. And so what I will do is I'll demonstrate a kind of traditional version of the trick. Then I'll talk about why I dislike that form of the effect. And then I'll give my own interpretation with that addresses some of those issues. Okay, so let's move on to the performance. This is called the circus trick, and it's as old as the hills, right? So no one has a monopoly on it. I can teach it as much as I want. So I forget where I first learned it, but I definitely went back and I brushed up looking at the Royal Road to Card Magic, which is a great resource. So what do? This is an effect where you pick a spectator and you're going to challenge them. And you're going to say that, hey, look, I am numero uno when it comes to cards, and I can discern any card you pick from a fully shuffled deck. Okay, and this deck is genuinely shuffled. There's no preparation, and in fact, in my handling, I like to have them pick a card face up. I don't like the pick a card, any card business. So I have them pick a card face up. I turn away. I'm going to choose a random card here. Hopefully you can see this on camera. Okay, I'll put the card down over here, and have the spectator shuffle the deck. Okay, they can shuffle it however they like. They can do a riffle shuffle. Right, I don't know anything that's going on here because my back is turned the whole time. And in fact, I say, hey, take about half the cards and get rid of them, because if you use the whole deck, then this trick can become interminable. So, anyways, this whole time here, right? They're shuffling the deck. I'm turned away. I say, "Are you ready? Are you satisfied? All right." And grab the deck, and now I start dealing cards down onto the table in little clumps. I'm not counting or anything. And when they say stop, they put their card in the deck, and it's completely lost. And in fact, we can cut the deck if we want. Give it a couple cuts there, and now their card is completely lost. All right, so now, as the magician, I say I'm going to use my magic touch, and I will discern the card that you chose, okay? And it is not the Queen of Hearts. Right? And we start going through the deck. And you can see, as I perform the whole business of doing this magic touch, that it takes quite a while. Where is it? Which card did you choose? Right? We're looking. And it goes on and on. And of course, hopefully, your spectator's eyes don't start glazing over quite yet. And we still have half the pack to go through. Searching for the spectator's card. Searching somewhere. Where might it be? And then you stop. And I say, I guarantee you the next card that I turn over is going to be your card. And in fact, I'm so confident that I will bet you a nickel or $1 or a drink at the bar This is what magicians do with their free time. And so at this point, right, the spectator actually has seen their card being dealt to the table, and they don't know that I know, that they don't know, and so they will often gladly take the bait. And at that point, they've fallen into my mousetrap, because instead of turning over this card next, I reach down and I turn over the 6 of diamonds, which was their card. Okay, so that's the effect there. Let me just move this pile over. Now, why don't I like this? There's 2 main reasons why I don't really like this effect. The first is that it involves gambling, especially gambling with money. That's just a personal thing. I really feel uncomfortable about gambling with money, or even, drinks and things like this. That's just a personal thing. But the second problem that I have with this trick is that it creates a very adversarial relationship between the magician and the spectator. And of course, there are better magicians than I who their persona, they're able to develop a good working relationship, right, with the spectator, where they control and they don't actually make them feel like a fool. But still, there's a lot of tension here. And so what I'm going to suggest is to change the stakes of the game and to reframe the trick so that it's less about me showing you what a fool you are, and it's more about me reading your personality. And actually, we're going to incorporate some very simple cold reading into the effect. Now, how do we change the stakes? Instead of doing gambling with poker, we're going to do it at game night. Game night these days often involves card games. So this is, I'm going to use cards from Muleborn, which is a classic cross-country driving game. It's a French game. And so what you want to do is you want to get somewhere between 10 and 20 cards, and they don't have to be all different. I'll explain later how you can get around that, but they should probably be all different. And I think it makes the effect better. So just like I did in the earlier performance, spread out the cards and let them choose whatever card they want. But we're going to set it up first and say, hey, look, we've played a couple hands of this. I've got a pretty good idea of your personality and how you're playing tonight. And so let's have this little challenge. I bet you that I can guess which card you choose from this spread. Okay? And if I'm right, then I will get to add that card to my opening hand. But if I'm wrong, then you get to add the card to your opening hand. Right? And some of these cards are really powerful. So, if they accept that, we spread out the cards and they look, then it'll say this would be very fair conditions. I'll turn away, and you choose any card that you want. But now notice how there are stakes. They're actually invested in which card they choose, because that can affect the outcome of the game. Whereas in the traditional circus trick, it's why do they care what card they're choosing, right? So here, you're going to choose a card, and let's say they go for where is it? Let's say they go for the right of way. Okay, this is probably the strongest card in the whole game. Okay, now of course I don't know this because I'm turning my head away, right? And then they take these cards, they hide the card that they chose, and you say, take that card that you want and keep it, and then I want you to mix up the rest of the deck. Right? Mix up the rest of the deck. And they shuffle the rest of the deck. Okay. They say, are you satisfied? And they're satisfied. So, all right, so give me the deck of cards, and why don't you show your card to someone else just to keep you honest? Okay. Now, while they're showing their card around, you're going to take the cards here, right, and just kind of tap them on the table and straighten them up. And as you do that, you're getting a glimpse of the bottom card. And you just need to remember, the bottom card is end of limit, okay? And this is a form of misdirection. So they're showing their card around, They're remembering their card, and you just go like this, and you've glanced the bottom card, and you know end of limit. All right, and you say, all right, so now let's lose your card in the deck, and you start doing this, tossing the cards out, and you say, tell me when to stop. They say stop. They put their card in the deck, and now you take the balance of the cards. There's only a couple of them left with the end of limit, and you drop them on top. And as you do this, the end of limit is right on top of the right of way. Okay, it's not so difficult. And now you can actually cut the deck as many times as you want, and this will not change the relative position of the end of limit and their chosen card. Okay, the end of limit will always be on top of their chosen card. And the only example when it's not is if the end of the limit is on the bottom. If the end of limit is on the bottom of the deck, here, like this, that means that their chosen card is all the way on the very top. Okay, but let's put it in the middle. All right, now you say, I'm going to go through the cards one at a time, and I'm going to use what I know about you, how you've been playing today, to see if I can discern which card you chose. Okay, and you start going through the cards like this, and you want to be a little bit messy, okay? Because as you go through the cards, you're looking for your end of limit index card, okay? So once you find this key card, it's called a key card. Once you find this card, you know that the next card that you turn over is going to be theirs. Of course, you don't say that. So you turn over that, and make sure that they can see this. And you keep going. And then you keep going. And of course, you can take your time, and you can play act, or you can add some comments. Now, if you want, you can stop partway through and say, the next card that I'm going to turn over. Or you might go to the end of the deck. It depends on how many cards are left. So you say, all right, I've got a feeling that the next card I turn over is going to be your card. In fact, I'm quite positive that the next card I turn over is going to be your card. You see, and this is where you go into the cold reading, okay? So now we know that their card is probably the strongest card in the game, okay, in this example. So you might say, well, I think that I see how you've been playing, and I think that you would take a big risk. I think you would bet big, and if it paid off, you'd want to have one of the strongest cards that you could have in the game. I think you would go and try to get these big points to get you started and give you a big head start. That's the type of person you are, playing really aggressive. Okay? So now you're giving them information that tells them that, yeah, maybe you do know their card, but they still see it on the table. You say, and now you give them a chance to back out. Right? And I think this is okay. So, because, again, it lowers the stakes. And you say, all right, so the last card that I turn over, this is going to be your card. I'm confident of it. Are you sure you want to keep the bet? Do not look at this card. Look at them in the eyes. Okay, and if they say yes, then all right. If you're sure, and then you reach down and you turn over their card. Okay, now the point of this is it's taking the effect and not saying, hey, look, I found your card. It's saying, hey, look, I read who you are. I think you're the type of person who would choose an aggressive card, right? An attack, because you want to start out the game and make sure you're able to stop us from proceeding. Oh, I think you've always been kind of defensive and a little bit introverted in this game. I don't think you would choose an offensive card. I think you would take something that would help you defend yourself. Right? So you just have a little bit of an interesting comment there that will give them a sense that maybe you know the card, and maybe you're deriving it from information you know about them. Okay, this is going on for a long time, so I'll just finish by giving you a little bit final piece of insight. Okay, and especially with something like these cards from Mealborn, maybe you don't, like the Go is easy, it sticks in your mind, but maybe Out of Gas, it's hard to remember. I don't know. And so the danger is if you forget your key card, then you're in big trouble. And so you'd be surprised, actually, if you put a mark on the back of the card in pencil or marker or something, most people won't notice. It'll just fly by them. So as you're going through the cards here, right, I turn it over, and if I see my mark on the back of the card, maybe a mark with, using your thumbnail to mark the card, you can actually save yourself a little bit of danger if you don't think you can remember the card. Obviously, don't do this if you're playing, gambling or something. That's real cheating. But for this magic trick, I think you can. And you'll be surprised how big of a mark you can get past. Most people won't notice. For example, when I did the example demonstration, I'm always forgetting. There's 52 cards. I'm always forgetting what they are. So I actually put a big mark on the back of this where I changed the color of the card so that you wouldn't notice. So that's the last lesson from this tutorial, is that the magician is always planning ahead. And they always have a plan and are 3 steps before the spectator. Okay, so use this idea and let me know what you think. I'm curious.